Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's the middle of April right now, but we are maintaining college football coverage all year long here at SBR Forum. And right now we're going to talk with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, who of course did numerous game previews with us for college football last year. And he's a professional handicapper who only covers college football. No hockey, no cricket, no baseball, nothing. Just doesn't even do NFL, just college football. We're going to talk to him about some articles he's been writing for SBR Forum in the offseason. Steve, thanks for being back with us.
It is my pleasure to be back, Peter. Thank you for having me.
So you do college football all year round. What are you looking at in the offseason?
You know, I used to be a high school football coach, and the offseason reminds me very much of practice. So I feel like the most gains are made when we can actually study data, find new correlations, and do our hardest work in the off-season, as opposed to when we are right in the thick of it week after week, game day after game day during the season. So this is the time when I feel like we make the most strides is in the off-season. That's when we can really study data, really find new correlations. So I liken that to being a football coach where the real work is done in practice.
All right, let's talk about this first article that you've written here for SBR Forum. It's about the BCS. I guess there's some predictive factors that you've identified that you can look at in the offseason for who might have some good value to win the BCS. Is that what this article is about?
Yes, we call it the 60% rule. So if you look, we have identified 5 predictive correlates. So these correlations to those who go on to become BCS national champions. And as you know, we still have one more year of the BCS national championship. Despite all of the playoff talk, that doesn't start for another season. So with one more season, we have 15 BCS national champions and their experiences to pull from. So we found these 5 categories that are remarkably consistent, and they're predictive. So if you're looking to place a futures bet on the 2014 BCS national champion, you run through what we call the 60% rule. So all these teams had met at least 3 of these 5 criteria, or met at least 3 of these 5 correlates.
Are there any that sort of surprised you that you wouldn't have expected to be so important?
I think probably the head coach being at the school for 2 to 4 years. That's not very long. And yet 9 out of 15 BCS champions had their coach as head coach at that school for just 2 to 4 years. That was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, one factor I have here is that they had a top 20 scoring defense the year prior. I guess that does make some sense. And I guess would you add in, how many returning starters they have, or is it just purely a matter of whether they have the top 20? I mean, what if they lose all their major defensive contributors from the year before?
That's a good question, Peter. And we looked at returning starters as a possible correlate, and that was not consistently the case. And a good example is Alabama. I don't have this right off in front of me, but off the top of my head, I believe last year when obviously Alabama won a national championship, and I realize they are the cream of the crop, but Alabama, I think, returned just 4 starters on defense, and yet they were able to win a national championship. So for programs like that, looking at returning starters is not necessarily predictive of who will become the eventual BCS national champion. So as we said before, I would look at all 5 of these criteria together when evaluating a potential futures bet for the 2014 BCS national championship.
All right. Well, it's a great article, Steve, from collegefootballwinning.com. Thanks so much for your contributions. And this article in its entirety can be found at the college football page at sbrforum.com. Thanks, Steve.